On the couch with Koel. The air I was breathing, the rock I was sitting on, the atmosphere around me, everything had become me. I was blissed out. Every cell in my body was burning with ecstasy. These are the words of Jaggi Vasudev, better known to the world as Sadhguru. He has also been described as the monk on a motorcycle, the rock star guru, and the man who knows. I'm going to be using his time with me on the couch to get all my existential questions answered. Sadhguru, I am really very pleased and honored that you are with me on my couch here today. I don't think you need much of an introduction. We all know that at the age of 25 at Chamundi Hills, you sat and you became one with the universe. And something that was the beginning or the marking of your spiritual journey. For a lay person, what does enlightenment mean?
You definitely understand the limitations of your existence, don't you?
I think so.
So if there are limitations, definitely there are ways to break the limitations. So whatever limitations in which you exist, physical, psychological and otherwise, if you can go beyond that, for now you can say that is enlightenment. That's not, but for now you can say that, because if we talk about something that is not yet in your experience, it just becomes a story.
How does one go about achieving it?
Enlightenment is not really an achievement, it's more like a homecoming. You always have an idea that you're somewhere outside, you're experiencing the outside. You have never experienced the outside. Everything that you have known has happened only within you. Absolute coming home is enlightenment.
What is the difference between stillness of the mind that people talk about, the fact that you can be without thought and be in pure meditation, and stagnation of the mind?
Stagnation would mean repeated cycles of the same things happening within your mind. But stillness is not stagnation, because stillness is very, very vibrant. So stillness means nothingness, and nothingness is the basis of everything.
So you can still have like 100 thoughts going and be fully active and ticking and be in a meditative state?
Yes. See, first of all, let's make this clear as to what is meditation. Meditation is not an act, it is a quality. Once you create a clear distance between what is you and what is yours, once there's a distance between what is you and what you have gathered, then you are meditative naturally. Then what you have gathered is not a problem, it is your property. Your property is not your problem if you know how to use it.
But how do you know what is you and then what is yours? How do you make that difference?
You definitely know you gathered this body, right?
Well, you're telling me, so I'm taking
not
that on board.
Not because I'm telling you. When you were born, you were not of this size, weren't you?
Yes, but I still had a body.
A little one.
Yes.
You slowly accumulated this much.
Right.
So obviously you accumulated this body.
But the body was still mine when I was born, even though it was a
even
smaller
now it's
size.
yours, I'm not disputing that.
Well, okay.
All I'm saying is, when you say this is my body, you're obviously saying it belongs to you.
Yes.
It is yours. It is something that you gathered slowly. So is your mind, isn't it? What you gather, can it be you?
Then what are you left with?
That's not yet come into your experience.
How will I get that experience if I don't even know what it is I'm striving for, or at least seeking?
That is why I said, do not strive for something that you do not know. I said, let's not talk about enlightenment. Let's talk about the bondages that we live in. Let's talk about the limitations that we live in and how to break that. If you want to become free, don't think about freedom. Look at the ropes that bind you. If you cut the ropes, then there is freedom. If you think about freedom, you will become hallucinatory. So there is so much talk about things that are not in people's experience. There is too much talk. It is because of this a large part of religion has become purely hallucinatory, because they're constantly talking about something which is not yet in people's experience.
For the young generation who is so attached to this world, I'm speaking for myself as well. We're attached, we love this amazing world, we're full of like ideas and we think we're bursting with life. Why would we want to choose the spiritual path? What do we have to gain from it?
If you live on the surface and you say, I love the world, don't you want to look a little deeper into the process of life?
What would you say was the biggest obstacle for the present generation?
Like any other generation, themselves.
Do you think the human race is quite self-obsessed, and we have forgotten that plants and animals and insects have soul, and maybe that's why we're in the environmental disaster we're in now?
A tiger is self-obsessed, an insect is self-obsessed, a tree is self-obsessed, so is a human being. Only difference is, it is possible for a human being not to be self-obsessed, and that's the beautiful thing about him. If he does not exercise that distinction, then he is just like any other creature.
And what can we do, what are you doing to actually make people exercise that?
My whole work is just to bring the mystical, what is normally considered as mystical, into common experience of people. Or I can say, the nature of my work is to take the drama out of spirituality.
I read somewhere that you said that we as a generation have never been more comfortable and yet more insecure. What did you actually mean by this?
Definitely as a generation of people, we are the most comfortable generation because of science and technology has brought so much convenience and comfort to our lives. This should have led to human well-being, but unfortunately it has not, simply because as we became more comfortable and found more conveniences on the outside, instead of using them to our well-being, we sort of getting lost with it. Maybe it's part of going away and then turning around after a while, but if we do not turn around quick enough, there may be no time to turn around.
What would you do as if you had to do an advertisement blurb to get my generation, the generation interested in the spiritual path?
In one sentence?
No, in as many sentences as you want.
To live and to live totally. When I say live totally, it does not mean party every night. Before you fall dead, you must know the full depth and dimension of who you are, otherwise what's the point? You must know life in all its dimensions. Once you have such an aspiration, how can you leave out the spiritual process?
Is that why we're on this earth? To find out who we really are? What is the purpose of us, of the human race being on this planet?
Only those who are living on the surface are always asking this question, what is the meaning of life? What is the purpose of life? And they're all trying to find all kinds of purposes. And people who have found purposes and missions in their life have always been the most destructive people. What you think is right is always the problem with somebody else who thinks something else is right, isn't it? See, today the conflict on the planet is not between good and bad as people believe it is so. It is just one man's belief versus another man's belief, religious or otherwise.
You've also said that you want to influence the powerful people because that will bring about the real change in the world.
When people ask me what's my mission, I said, as a mother would teach a child to brush his teeth, I would like to see in the next generation, spiritual process becomes like this. So now I am offering you a simple technology with which you can create your inner experience the way you want it. If you had the choice of making your interiority the way you want it right now, would you choose blissfulness or misery?
Oh, that's a tough one. Sadhguru, do you think that everyone needs a guru to be guided towards a spiritual path?
It all depends what's your understanding of a guru. I know all kinds of people are being called gurus, so that's a different issue. What I would say is, a guru is like a roadmap.
How do you know who's the right guru for you? Because you haven't walked the path, how do you know it's the right roadmap?
You don't go shopping for gurus. You just you just create a deep longing within yourself and it will happen. So if you sit with a guru, if you feel threatened by his presence, at the same time, you want to be there all the time. You're drawn to it, but at the same time you're threatened by it, then he is your guru. If you're very comfortable with him, he is not good for you.
What is the aura that you emit that grown, intelligent young men and women become giggling fans of you? I have seen this everywhere. There must be something that
you haven't met the old ladies then, they're also giggling.
I'm talking about the old ladies only, the old ladies, the old men, everyone.
They're not giggling because of me, they're giggling because they have become blissful. So as I said, what I offer them is not a teaching, not a philosophy, not a belief system, just a technology for inner well-being.
And what about reincarnation? You have been reincarnated?
You want to know what happens after death?
I want to know what is this cycle of reincarnation?
So what you're asking is, what is the nature of life?
I suppose, yes.
Once an inner dimension of perception is on, why will you ask somebody what is the nature of who I am? This happened in the Cincinnati airport. There was a long lineup for the check-in counter, and one man jumped the queue, just went straight to the lady who was sitting there, shouted his ticket and said, you know, she said, "Sir, please join the line." He said, "No, I'm in a hurry." She said, "Everybody's in a hurry, please stand in the line." He started shouting and said, "Do you know who I am?" She promptly picked up the microphone and said, "There is a man here who doesn't know who he is, can somebody help him?"
Somewhere I also read your theory about karma, where we are paying for things that we might have done in the past. But I feel that if I'm not aware of what I've done in the past, if I'm not aware of my past lives, for instance, then why and how will I even pay for those things in the present?
This whole thing about karma is completely misunderstood. Karma means action. Action can be performed physically, mentally, emotionally and energy-wise. These are 4 types of action. Every action has a residue left. Or in other words, this is a kind of software that you write for yourself. Karma is a software that you have written for yourself, but you wrote it unconsciously. Whatever you can do unconsciously, you can also do it consciously, isn't it? So the whole spiritual process, in one way, is about wanting to rewrite your karmic software consciously.
Before you became Sadhguru, you were Jaggi Vasudev.
Even now I am.
Even now you are, yes. Did you have a wife and you also have a child?
Yes.
Tell us something about your experience as a family man.
I'm someone who shares very deep and intimate relationships with lots of people. Lots of people. Too many, actually. So my relationships with my family also is similar. I'm very, very deeply connected with them. My wife is no more, but I have a wonderful daughter that she's my boss, so…
As daughters should be. Why did you take on the name as Sadhguru?
It's not a name that I took on. It is just that literally Sadhguru literally means an uneducated guru.
An uneducated?
Yes. Because I do not know any scriptures, I do not know anything. The only thing that I know is, I know this piece of life absolutely, from its origin to its ultimate. I know this piece of life. I do not know anything else.
People who are up in arms fighting between Hinduism and Islam, is there a common spiritual thread between Islam and Hinduism?
I would say religion is just spirituality gone bad. it should have been fixed generation after generation, every generation should have done little bit of correction. Those corrections have not happened and it's gone so far away that they've become forces of their own. So fighting is going on essentially because people believe things which are not in their experience. As I said earlier, it is one man's belief versus another man's belief. The essential difference between a spiritual process and a religion is just this. When you say, I'm religious, you refer to yourself as a believer. When you say, I'm spiritual, you refer to yourself as a seeker. So you can only be a seeker if you realize, I do not know. Belief means you have assumed something that you do not know. The moment you assume something that you do not know, it becomes a dangerous force.
In your discourse on sexuality, you talk about sex being predominantly only for procreation. So is that one cannot enjoy sex for the sake of sex?
I never said it's predominantly for that. I said, essentially nature has put that dimension into your body for that purpose. If pleasure was not attached, you wouldn't be born, I'm telling you. Believe me. I was talking about the biological nature of sex, not the social aspect of it.
So if it's the biological nature of sex, does that mean that that homosexuality is something that's against nature?
See, individual choices, what choices people make is their choices. It is not for me to comment on anybody's individual choices. All I can say is, essentially, sexuality was induced into this biological system mainly for reproduction, isn't it? Do you have a question about it? Is there a debate about it?
Now we're going to play a game. The rules of the game are very simple. I'm going to ask you a question, you have as much time, not that you need it, you have as much time to answer it. But nothing, nobody pass, I don't know, in different versions of that are not acceptable answers.
I knew it has to be an unfair game with you.
That's unfair. That's totally unfair. What are your dreams made of?
I don't dream.
What are your nightmares made of?
I just have nights, no mares.
What is the trait you hate in yourself?
I don't have any traits.
What is the trait you hate in other people?
What is that?
What is the quality you hate in other people?
Hate?
Dislike?
I've learned to live with everything.
What would you instantly fall in love with?
Love?
What is your current state of mind?
I don't have much of it, so…
I thought I was going to answer it for you. Blissful, I was going to say.
That's not of my mind. I don't have much of a mind, really.
On what occasion do you lie?
Whenever it's necessary.
Which living person do you most admire?
All those who are alive, truly alive.
Interesting. Which living person do you most dislike?
I haven't met him yet. I hope I don't.
Which person or thing would you like to be reincarnated, in your case, again as?
I have no plans for that.
Is this it?
Huh?
Is this life it?
This is it.
Which figure from history or fiction do you most identify with?
Asterix.
What is your most valuable possession?
Velangiri Mountains.
What till date has been your greatest achievement?
I don't pass a single day in my life without seeing tears of love and bliss around me. I think that's a beautiful thing.
What is your idea of perfect happiness?
It is a reality that everybody can have. Unfortunately, they have denied it to themselves.
Well, thank you very much for being on my show. Before you go, I have a little present for you. For all your traveling that you're about to do, that you keep doing, it's a little travel caution.
How many bears did you kill for this one?
It's not real, Sadhguru. What did you think? I was going to give you real fur? I'm a little bit environmentally conscious. But it is comfortable. Try it on your neck. It is kind
of comfortable. As you said, you're already hot on this one. You want me to become hot-headed?
I don't think that's possible.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us.